If you are an entrepreneur or a founder or co-founder of a startup, then I have a challenge for you. How clear is your message? And the reason I ask is that as a part of the incubator, which I'm a co-founder of, I work with a lot of founders, co-founders on startups in terms of their brand strategy, go-to-market strategy, and things like that. And one of the biggest challenges that I've found founders facing is this disconnect between what they think their product or service or their USP is in terms of differentiation and what they're communicating to the world, not just in terms of the brand message, but also even within teams, with partners, with employees. A huge disconnect. And the reason is that it's very difficult to crystallize and simplify a message. And some of the biggest brands out there seem to have the simplest messages. Now, of course, a lot of the brands that have simple messages are usually kind of the pioneers in that market segment or category, right? So when you are a pioneer, when you are the first mover, it is relatively easy to sort of have a differentiating factor, right? And your message is relatively simple. But when you're trying to enter a crowded market space, a market space that is saturated, then coming up with a simple message is probably the hardest thing. It's harder than building the product. It's harder than, in fact, driving customers to your product or service. Of course, driving customers to your product or service is dependent on your message. As simple as that. Not even your product, not the quality of your product. Quality of your product plays a part later on. But I'm just talking about when you're launching a product or when you're trying to enter a new market, or you're trying to diversify, your product portfolio or your services, then coming up with a simple message is probably more important than the relative quality of the product. And if you are sort of trying to communicate the features and even the benefits, because features was the first, you could call it marketing 1.0, right? And then, of course, benefits became marketing 2.0. Now it's marketing 3.0, where features and benefits have to be kind of woven into the story of your brand. They do not have the power to stand alone. They do not have the power to bring your audience on that journey by themselves. They need to be a part of your messaging. They need to be a part of your brand story. Now, I keep talking a lot about brand story, and I've been talking about it for many years now. Brand story has really lost its meaning. It's become an overused kind of word. And right now, even an origin story is called a brand story. Asking customers to buy your products has become a brand story. Just like branding, right? So getting a logo designed has become branding. Picking colors for your brand has become branding. So it pays to carefully think about what your message is and to clarify it. Spend time on it. If you already have a message, then do a brand audit. A brand audit is nothing but carefully looking at the core fundamentals of your brand and your core message without getting influenced by what do I want in terms of the co-founders and the founders, or what do we think is right for the brand. Now, of course, what do you want and what do you think is right for your brand plays a part, because you are, of course, the founder of the brand. You have a vision. You are starting this business, or you're launching the brand, you're launching a product or service with a particular idea. So it is important, but that needs to be fine-tuned. That needs to be kind of evaluated, refined, almost like an artisan, like a craftsman refining a tool or something like that, right? You need to refine the message. So this is the challenge for you today. Sit down, look at your message. There are several scenarios that you may find. The first scenario is where you seem to have a great message, and you probably do. Now, I use the word seem is because everything is relative, right? Something that appeals to you as the founder may not in reality be something that your target audience is really aligning with. And that is probably where the disconnect is. And that's why maybe you're finding that the kind of growth that you wanted to see is not really happening, right? So that's scenario one where you think you have a message, your message is fine, it's working great, we're doing quite well, we are selling X number, we have X number of people on our platform or, web app or whatever it is, right? Scenario two is you know that you don't have a message, but you are just using some kind of a framework and hoping for the best. And scenario three is you don't know you don't have a message and you don't really care. Or at least you are not really worried about your message at this moment because message seems abstract. And hey, we say how best our product is, and that should be enough, right? So where do you fall? And of course, this is not black and white, right? You could fall in between these three silos, and there could be other silos. If you think of another silo, let me know, right? Drop a comment below. But the fact of the matter is that you have to really pay attention to the simplicity of your message. The simpler the message, the better traction it will have in terms of creating that bond with your target audience. Now, simplicity doesn't necessarily mean a short tagline, right? Nike says, just do it. Well, what is just do it, right? You understand just do it and seems to gel with you once you know the context. But of course, maybe there's not many people around but who don't know Nike. But if you bring in someone who does not know Nike and then they look at just do it, what does it say? Just do what, right? So it's not about us having a simple tagline. It's not about simplicity is just a fewer words. Yes, simple tagline, simple fewer words make sense, but that's when you're actually marketing it. But even as an idea, even as a concept, what is it? Why are you different, right? Why should your audience care about you, your brand? Why should your customers care about your brand? Can you simplify that? Can you say simply, audience cares about our brand because dash. Of course, because we provide the best quality product, because we care about our customers, we have the best customer service. Yes, they all work, but they're not really compelling messages. They're being, they're being used and overused, right? So claiming to have the best quality, claiming to be the best in the world, claiming to have the best customer service or the most talented teams, they are not your onlyness, right? They're not your differentiating factor. They are things that people expect that you need to include as a part of your marketing, as a part of your messaging. And if you don't have those, work on those, but your message is something more. Now, I've been rambling on about, why it is important, but I'm not really talking about how, right? Because a message, clarifying a message, simplifying a message, having the right message, there's no rule of thumb there. There's a process for it, of course, how you arrive at that message, but there's no rule of thumb. There's no simple way to say, well, just do it, right? There is none. It really depends on the communication. You need to understand your audience really deeply. That's why the audience persona, audience archetypes, they are useful tools. But of course, beware. They could also be misleading. If you just approach this message by just picking, audience personas or creating audience personas by picking audience archetypes, just because they feel like they're the right ones, that could lead you down a path of a message that is ineffective. So it has to be done as a part of a process. Now, I've done several videos on what this process might be, and I will do more on each step of this process of clarifying the message. But at least today, think about your message. Just suffice to say, is it complex? Is it too vague? Does it have a punch? If I were the audience, would I really care about this brand by when I'm exposed to this message, right? Think through that. So that's the question today. That's the challenge today. Let me know below in the comments on what you think, and let me know about your message. You don't need to be specific, but maybe I can shed some light on it. If you have any questions, if you're confused about this particular message, or even this concept of message clarification in general, because message clarification seems like a simple concept, and it's easy to understand, but it's very deep, right? Okay. So till my next video, go forth and prosper. And if you have not already followed or subscribed to this channel, please do so now. Hit the bell icon so that when my next video comes out, you are there with me on this journey to build your brand. Take care.